The long and anticipated Update 5 for Anime Defenders has just released to mixed reception, and after thoroughly playing the update and taking about 4 or 5 hours to beat the entirety of the new story mode, I feel as if I've played the game enough to formulate my opinion on this update, and in today's video I want to dedicate this entire video to going through the update. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We're gonna go through the things that I liked about this update, the things that I didn't appreciate. I'll be adding in some YouTube comments that I personally thought were really well made and well thought out, because I believe that they voiced some very, very valid concerns about the game. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's start with the good. One of the first good things that I'd like to talk about in this update is the maps. I feel as if they have completely outdone themselves with the maps this update. There are a few specific maps that I personally absolutely loved, this being one of them. You're in a literal gladiator arena and you spawn in the stands and you have to jump down in order to actually start fighting and placing your units. I absolutely love the little spawn point. I like the idea. It really gives it just that little extra sense of realism in a game that is otherwise very, very surreal. And let me go into another map that I really, really like. Aether Gateway is another map that I absolutely loved. It's just such a visually appealing map. I love the light undertones combined with the very, very Greek mythology-esque building style. And I don't know, I just really, really like the aesthetics of this map, as well as the fact that the track is easy to play in, but that has nothing to do with the maps. Again, extremely talented builders. The map itself looks amazing, but this isn't even my favorite map. Let me show you guys my personal favorite map in this update. Abyssal Gate is my absolute favorite map that they added in Update 5, because look at the absolute beauty that this map is. You spawn in front of a giant cathedral with this big midnight, like this clock with the hand on the midnight sign. You have the huge clock in the sky with the same clock on top of the building, as well as the little hourglass that is supposed to lean more into the time aesthetic that they're going for. This is my absolute favorite map in this game. It might be my favorite map out of any tower defense game. This is just really up my alley. I love the color scheme. I absolutely love the starry night sky that they paired with this. I think it's really cool how the map is just a big floating island. This just looks really, really good to me. I love the cathedral design. The cathedral, is it a cathedral or a castle? I really like the design of it. Once again, builders outdid themselves on this one. One of the strong suits of this update are the maps, I would say. Something that I think really goes underappreciated in a lot of updates, especially in tower defense games. You know, people just want to grind, place their units, kill everything, get their rewards, but you should really take some time to appreciate some of the scenery in these games, because I think it is very, very much worth it, at least in the case of this map. Let's move on. Something else that's really, really good that is worthy of noting is the new Battle Pass, which gives you a ton of very, very useful rewards, which you can get more of if you get the paid one, but even if you don't, the free-to-play one is infinitely resettable if you beat it. So if you don't want to spend Robux on the game, you still have the ability to obtain a lot of these highly coveted items, which are going to be very, very useful for the new update. Speaking of items, some things that they added which I think are really, really cool are, number one, let me look over here. Number one, we have portal hardeners. This essentially makes it so if you lose doing a portal, like let's say you DC or something, you can't die. You can make hardened versions of a lot of these portals. Let's see, you can make hardened versions of the mythical ones. I really, really like this. All you need to do is have the portal and have some portal hardeners, and you can make yourself a hardened version of that portal, which just gives you a little safety net, nice quality of life change. Another item which I absolutely love that they added is the wave jumper, tier 1 and tier 2. I don't know if there's a tier above 2. Oh, no, there is. Okay. The Wave Jumper tier 3. This essentially just lets you skip the entirety of like a bunch of rounds. I believe tier 3 being the best one just lets you skip to like basically the end of the game mode. And this is the closest thing that we have to 2x speed in the game. In fact, it's a lot faster than 2x speed. and it just lets you complete a stage in a fraction of the time that it would take you to do it normally otherwise. I think this is a great quality of life item, and I believe it gives you an incentive to grind out some of these challenges and grind out the battle pass, because you want to get some of these wave jumpers. They are very, very good for convenience. I think it adds another layer of replayability to the game, as well as giving players an item that's actually useful to grind for, and it's not just going to sit in your inventory. That's something that I think is absolutely good. And onto the good, I'd say the last part for this segment is going to be the new banners. We got 3 new banners, which is an insane amount of content, more than we've ever gotten on any other update. 3 banners is absolutely absurd, each coming with their own unique mythic and secret unit. I have yet to obtain any of these guys. As you can see, I've summoned a lot on all of these banners, but I still have a lot of grinding to do before I even hit Mythic Pity. Are any of these guys good or not? I am not sure. I have yet to try them, but we're gonna see. And I think that's the last segment, or the last thing that I want to put on the good, the fact that we got so much new content in terms of units. We got a bunch of new items, new game mechanics, which I think are really, really good. Personally, I love the burrow unit mechanic. I know some people dislike the fact that hybrid units can't hit burrow enemies. I choose to see it as a way of adding an extra layer of strategy to the game. I think a good compromise for people that hate burrow units and people like me that absolutely love it is just make ground units deal more damage to burrow enemies and make hybrid units deal slightly less damage, maybe 25%, 50% less at most, because then this would allow your hybrid units to still be useful while incentivizing players to also run ground units. It simultaneously makes ground units relevant as well as not making hybrid units irrelevant. I believe this solution would just make all parties happy here. But in terms of happiness, you know, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, and let's move on to the bad. The first thing that I would like to say is in the bad segment, something that I personally didn't enjoy was the sheer amount of story mode grinding that I had to do this update. It took me a little over 4 hours to beat every single story mode map in its entirety, chapters 1 through 6, and normally when I'm playing this game I have fun. I'm gonna be honest with you, it just felt really monotonous to grind out these story modes. Reason being, there's really no unique rewards to incentivize players to actually grind out these story mode maps. In a game like, I'll try not to use ALS too much, but we're gonna use it for this example. In a game like ALS, you have exclusive units and evo items that only drop from specific story mode maps. I believe Anime Defenders would be greatly helped if they did that on their game. Because if you look through the story mode maps right now, you notice how you can barely tell the rewards apart. It is the exact same as XP items with the exact same tokens. The only difference is the element changes every now and then, but at the same time, that isn't the biggest incentive to grind out story mode maps, much less give players a reason to even want to complete them in the first place. This just felt like a complete slog to me, and the only reason I did it was so I could have a better idea of the update before I made my review on it, or my fully honest opinion on it. And I'm here to tell you, grinding out all of these story mode maps in one sitting really hurt my brain. And I, alongside many other players, really wish we had 2x speed or some way of extrapolating the process, because as it stands, doing story mode maps in one sitting just over and over again, with no unique reward, no incentive, no way to speed things up, it just feels slow, and it feels unfun. It feels like it drags the gameplay experience down in a way that I think could easily be fixed if we just, you know, either make the story mode maps a little bit shorter or add 2x. To the devs' credit, they have had some discussions about adding 2x, but we'll talk about that later in the video, and let's move on. One more thing that I would like to add to the bad segment, because although this issue is a little bit annoying, it's not as egregious as the things that I'm going to put in the ugly section, and I just think it's a little bit annoying more than it is game breaking or game ruining, and that's the fact that you can only take 3 units of your choice into this new realm. Now, I'm not really gonna complain too heavily on this, because I'm well aware of the fact that this is a game design choice and this is as the devs intended. I can see why this was a thing. It's because they don't want well-established players, you know, people like me who already have a bunch of secrets and maxed out units with decent traits. They don't want us to come into this new update and absolutely steamroll it. They want the anime tower defense game that they made to still hold some principles of a tower defense. They want the game to be strategic, and they don't want it to just be a click and play simulator with cool VFX, because at the end of the day, if the game devolves to, oh, look at the pretty colors, I don't even have to turn my brain on, it just becomes a glorified RNG game, and I don't think that's what the devs are trying to go for. At least that's what I don't think that's what their vision is from the updates that they've made, and I really hope that it never goes in that direction, because that would just make the game worse. So even though it is bad, I find it a little annoying that I can only take 3 units, and I know I can carry more units if I summon them from this, but we're gonna get into why this isn't the most viable option in the ugly section. Only being able to use 3 units is a little bit annoying. Plus, one of them is going to have to be a farm, let's be honest. No one is going to be in this World 2. Like, anyone that knows how to play this game isn't going to play without a farm. So, having a farm is basically a must-have. You're essentially down to 2 units. One of those units has to be a ground unit, because if you don't have a good ground unit, you can't kill burrow enemies. Meaning, you just lose in 80% of the content in this World 2 update. So, you know, your team is getting slimmer and slimmer by the second, because you're being more and more constrained to do things to accommodate for the update. And although there's 2 sides to that argument, some could say it's good from a strategical standpoint, other players like myself think it's a little bit annoying to have to adjust your playstyle so much, on top of the fact that your team's already getting pretty limited. But I digress. Let's move on to the ugly. First thing that I want to include in the ugly section is the absolute horrendous state that the economy is in. Right now, gems feel like they have no inherent value, and that is for a plethora of reasons. Number one, gems are absolutely useless for these new summoning, for summoning these new units. For all these 3 new banners, Trial of Zen, Trial of Neptune, Trial of Radiance, gems might as well not even be in the game, because they don't exist in this realm. They don't exist in Athenex realm. You can't even see the amount of gems that I have on the bottom of my character, because they serve absolutely zero purpose here. And to make a currency which is so heavily ingrained and embedded into the game, and it's been here since release, it's been the main way that we've gotten units for so long, to make that same currency essentially useless in a newer update feels really bad. You know, I saved up millions and millions of gems because I thought they would be useful for this update, but boy was I wrong. It really does feel like a slap in the face, not just to myself, but to all the players that grinded to have a bunch of gems. Maybe they grinded macroing, they profit traded, they bought a bunch of divine wishes and gambled and got lucky and then sold their units for a ton of gems. However you got your gems, more often than not, it was pretty hard, right? You don't just get millions of gems overnight. There was a long and, in some cases, hard and grindy process that it took for you to get those gems. And to see those gems be utterly and completely useless in this new update definitely hurts. You know, it doesn't feel good to know that all your hard work is just going down the drain. And in terms of hard work, I think that trading needs a lot, and I mean a lot of more work. Here's why I say that. You know how in the ugly section I led it with the economy being absolutely terrible, and I kind of pivoted to gems a little bit? Well, it's all interconnected, because the reason the economy is so bad is because everything has just inflated to an uncontrollable level, and it's gotten to the point where this game doesn't even feel fun to trade in, because unless you have a super good secret unit beforehand to trade with, you're gonna end up overpaying millions and millions of gems if you're just doing trades with pure gems. Why? Because gems have no more value. You can be a millionaire in gems in this game, but you're not gonna feel wealthy. You're gonna feel like a Zimbabwean millionaire. You're gonna have billions and billions of currency, but none of it is gonna have any value. I could take my 8 million gems right now, that's not even enough to get me a single Shadow Dragon. A unit that's been out for well over a month now, a very long time. A unit which should be obtainable to the player base now is still extremely highly coveted. Why? Because everything in the trading market is extremely expensive. Rerolls went from, when I first started playing the game, 1 to 100 to like 1 to 1,000 now. It could be well over 1,000 by the time that I'm making this video, but the fact that the trading economy has just gotten so out of proportion in terms of inflation, really sad to see. It basically ruins an entire segment of the game for a lot of players, myself included, because I don't feel like I can progress in trading anymore. Sure, profit trading is still a thing, but it doesn't feel as rewarding when the economy is just evolving so rapidly, and it's not evolving for the better, because day in and day out prices just get higher, units become harder to obtain, rerolls become more expensive to obtain, but ways of getting gems remain the same. There is no fast way of getting gems. We've had the exact same gem grinding methods for the past 3 to 4 updates, and there's really no foreseeable way to get gems at a rate that would let you bypass the inflation. Inflation is just rising 10 times faster than the ability for a player to get gems, and that in turn turns a lot of players off from the game. It makes it feel like the game is pay to win, a grind fest, unrewarding. And who can blame these players? When the economy of a game is so incredibly bad that you could only compare it to Pet Simulator in the way that everything is increasing in price at an exponential rate, you have to start to question things and wonder what's going on. Why have things gotten to the point that they have? And I think I think the main problem, the main cause of inflation is black marketing. The black marketing problem in this game has been extremely apparent ever since Update 0. It's been a thing since the game released, because, you know, alt farming was the meta in this game. I don't think it's the meta anymore, if I'm being honest, but for a good chunk of this game's life cycle, alt farming, if you weren't doing it, you weren't playing the game, because that was basically the de facto required way that you had to play. And anyone that couldn't do that, like a mobile player or maybe a player that doesn't have a PC good enough to run multiple accounts, they sort of just got the middle finger, because as a player playing on a singular account, you just had to accept the fact that it was going to take you 10 times longer to obtain units, evolve them, get gems, as opposed to someone that was running at least 2 to 3 alt accounts. You were going to be getting your things a lot faster, a lot easier, and you would think it's at a faster pace than other players, but that was just the bare minimum. Running alts in this game became the bare minimum, and it just led to a culture of people having 10 alts, 20 alts, 30 alts, all farming gems, farming star rifts, all trying to do something, because that's just the game was designed. That's just how the game was designed. And this definitely did irreparable damage to the economy. Why? Because since alt farming became a problem, exploiters used this to their advantage. They got a bunch of alt accounts plus exploits, which let you get items incredibly easily, more easily than you could by alt farming, and more efficiently. What does this equal? This means that there's going to be a huge influx of rerolls and gems going into the trading market, meaning prices are going to skyrocket. Reroll prices are going to skyrocket. Meanwhile, black marketers are making money. They're selling it for real money. So not only are they simultaneously breaking Roblox TOS, which in and of itself is bad, they're also harming the game and harming the player base, because they're the reason that inflation has gotten to the point that it has. And now we're in Update 5, where the average secret unit is worth 1 million gems minimum, and it just hurts to see. It hurts the player base, it hurts the free-to-play player. It's a lose-lose situation, because now the devs find themselves in a pretty tough spot. How they're gonna fix it, I don't know. My personal suggestion would just be to make rerolls untradeable. That way, BMers lose a huge chunk of their income. Maybe make gems untradeable too, since you can find a lot of BMers selling those as well. I don't know how well that feature would be implemented, nor am I a dev or a game designer, so take my opinions with a grain of salt. But that is the first real ugly thing that I would say was in Update 5. Let's move on. The second thing that I'd like to bring to you guys' attention, which I think really hurt this game in terms of how much the community actually enjoyed the update, was just how laughably hard it is to obtain these new units. Now, it's not impossible, but I'm gonna put it for you guys like this. Let's go to these story mode maps, right? Or let's go to an infinite. Let's look at an infinite. Let's say I'm doing the hardest infinite in the game, Cybergate, because I want to grind Aqua tokens. I'll get 60 Aqua tokens from a single infinite run. I don't know if it goes higher than this, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain that it doesn't go above 60. So, I'm doing an entire infinite run, right? This is going to take me 30 minutes minimum, and I'm only getting 60 tokens. Now, let's look at how much we need for a 10 summon. You need 80 tokens. Mind you, I have VIP. I have the VIP discount on. So, for someone without the Game Pass, it would take 100 tokens, which is even worse. On top of that, since there's no secret pity, you are at the mercy of the RNG slot machine. So not only are these new currencies incredibly long, grindy, and tedious to obtain, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to reach your end goal. There is no way of knowing if you're working towards something or if you're just wasting your time. There's no way of the average free-to-play player to be able to reliably get one of the new secrets because, frankly, they didn't add any mechanisms in place to curb the RNG. Now, there are some people that could argue this is good because it makes secret units feel special. I personally do hold that sentiment. I like it when secret units are hard to get, but there's a difference between making something hard to get and making something unnecessarily annoying to get. And I think that these new secret units are unnecessarily annoying to get. Because in the case of the standard banner in World 1, you know, the normal area, not Athenex Realm, the other one, you can spend gems to get secrets. Yes. But gems are also much easier to obtain than these new currencies are. In fact, the average player, if they save up their gems efficiently and do profit trading or do whatever they want, it's not going to take you that many gems to summon for a secret yourself. Especially with the mini luck potions, that was a great addition to the game. It helps you get a little bit less RNG when you're summoning for a secret, and it made secrets obtainable. Sure, it made them not feel as rare anymore, and the only real rare quote-unquote secrets were the limited ones, but it still made you feel like you were progressing towards something. Having a secret pity like the one we had on the Lucky Ticket banner, it did make the Grand Aether Knight feel a lot less special and a lot less rare, but it gave players an incentive, something to grind for, a clear goal that they could see and reach and work towards. This update provides absolutely none of that, and to their credit, it's a lot of content. They did add a lot of new units, and if they added a secret pity for every single one of these banners, it would just allow YouTubers or pay-to-win players, or literally the average player, to sit here, buy a bunch of tokens, hit the pity, get all the units, and stop playing the game in a couple days, right? I know that these game design choices are also designed to try and keep the player engaged, keep them grinding, but I think there's a way that you can go about that, and I just don't think this is the correct way to go about it. I really think there should be better ways to get solar tokens and aqua tokens and what are these? Whatever, flame tokens. There should be a way to earn these tokens without having to go through such a tedious and monotonous grind. Because yes, you can macro for it. There's already YouTube videos out there on how you can macro these, but I really don't want to be forced to macro on a game that doesn't even allow macroing, right? You get screwed out of your macro if you're doing an infinite mode, because look at this. Try again after 51 seconds. If you leave and enter the play box too many times, it'll just outright lock you out. Meaning the devs actively don't want you to be macroing. It's crystal clear that they don't like it when you macro. So why should I force myself to go against the game's design just so I can obtain something from the new update? It feels counterintuitive, and it feels like I'm fighting an uphill battle here that frankly I don't think I'm going to win, because once again, there is no secret pity. There is no guaranteed way to get these new secrets. Sure, there's a mythic pity, but you know, that's only gonna take me so far. Once I get the mythics, what's next? I'm gonna want the secrets. And this last segment, I'm just gonna dedicate it to reading a YouTube comment or two that really stuck with me. It really resonated with me, and I really couldn't have worded this opinion better myself. So I'm just gonna read it verbatim on here because it's a lot easier than writing a script. So with all that being said, let's move into the YouTube comment section. We're still in the ugly part, but I just want to read out these comments. So I found 2 YouTube comments that really stuck with me, and I did resonate a lot with the opinions that they said in these comments, which is why I'm including them in this video, because I believe that these guys word some concerns that are very, very much a thing, and I think they very, very much deserve a place in this video. The first one reads as follows: "The game kills casual players over and over again. It's annoying. Not all of us have the time to grind stuff and no life things. The update forces you to get new currencies to pull, and getting those by itself is annoying considering how much you're going to have to do to just get the mythics. Not everyone can spam repeat infinite modes endlessly. It incentivizes becoming a no-life, no offense to people who genuinely enjoy the game and play it endlessly, and grinding stuff out. Gems are absolutely worthless, adding more currencies just makes the situation worse as well. Adding a secret pity would have been nice, because at least the casual players can manage their resources and work towards their goal without having to grind endlessly for long periods of time, just to not get the character they want." This comment, I absolutely agree with it. If you asked me a couple hours ago when I dropped my Is Update 5 Mid video, I would have disagreed with this and told you that, no, I think secrets should be hard to get, but now that I'm playing the game more and I'm seeing just how hard it is to obtain these new tokens as a free-to-play player, and the sheer amount of tokens that it takes for you to even do a 10 summon, you know, there's always the option of pulling your wallet out, but let's be honest, most people aren't going to want to do that. In fact, I make videos on this game and I get paid to cover this game, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend money on a system that is just gambling. It's gambling with no end in sight because I'll never know if I'll get the new secret. So sure, I could drop $100 on this game right now and buy a bunch of these tokens and make a video of me summoning a banner over and over and over again, but there's a very, very real chance that I'm not even going to pull the secret unit. So I'm going to be wasting money, wasting time, all to get a bunch of copies of a mythic that I don't care about. Do you see where I'm going with this? The fact that they added new currencies and essentially made the old ones useless does really, really worsen the problem of them screwing over the casual player. I completely agree with that statement. The fact that there's no secret pity, although it does suck, I don't think it's the end of the world. Do I think it needs to be in the game? No. Would it be nice? Maybe. Again, I'm not too mad that these banners don't have a secret pity. I just wish that there was an easier way to obtain these tokens, and a more efficient way, or at least an AFK friendly way, because as it stands, getting these units through pure grinding seems like almost unobtainable, because I just don't have the time for that, as do a lot of people who don't have the time for that. Now, this next comment that I'm going to read is my personal favorite comment that I got on that video, and I really don't think there's a better way to phrase things than this guy did. So I'm going to put his comment on the screen and I'm just going to read it verbatim, because I really couldn't have said this better myself. "God, this update is just a nothing burger. A whole nothing burger. They added basically a mirror copy of their own game, only adding the new game mode. Everything else is just a carbon copy of what they've already done. The issue that I have is that there's like nothing new at all. Like I said, it's the same thing over and over and over again. You go to do the story mode to get gems and summon for a unit. But I believe that the issue for this game goes a bit deeper than this mid-ass update. What separates Anime Adventures from Anime Defenders is the economy. In Anime Adventures didn't exclusively make Mythic seem like a joke and incentivize getting secrets and shinies. How do I put this? You didn't have to get secret units like Guts and Griffith back in Anime Adventures. Back in AA were completely viable in the meta. They probably wrote that wrong, but whatever. Even without them being secrets. In this game, Anime Defenders, it's a given that you have to get secrets, in that they're the only correct way of getting damage. This effectively makes everything else that you summoned for before, excluding farm units, just completely bumfuck useless. Now, what does this have to do with the economy? Is that because secrets are so valued, and the fact that you can sell secrets for gems, something that wasn't originally in Anime Adventures, which seemed iffy to me, just makes it so that people would never use gems in general. If you can't summon for a mythic because they're bad, and if you can't summon for a secret because they're too rare, then there's no point. You can just save for a secret in the market, but the prices are getting so damn inflated it's not even funny. There was a time where the value of secret units was so inflated you couldn't even get one secret without 1 mil. You know, it's funny he says that because that is still the norm to this day. So, TLDR, this game is very pay to win. Now that I think about it, Anime Adventures... Now, I know that AA had elements of pay to win in its game as well, but Anime Defenders is so much worse. There is an active black market that anyone can purchase from. You can buy an almighty Shadow Dragon. I know this because my friend did for $60 US. That's the issue with this game. It's just so you need to get the rarest things to do the best, and because of that, you need to give me your money. That and the models are so fucking ugly. I can't tell who's who, it's confusing, like what were they thinking? I agree with everything except the models. I think the models look really cool. Like, sure, this doesn't look like Gojo, but you gotta give them credit where credit is due. The animations, the models, and the VFX are incredibly well made and incredibly professionally made. It's just the fact that they really don't stick to the source material. You know, this is supposed to be Bocchi, but now she looks like Bocchi from Wish, because you can't even tell that it's her anymore. You can't tell that this is Gojo anymore. You can still sort of tell that this is Sung Jin Woo because he kept the swords, but you guys get where I'm going with this, right? I don't think the models are that much of an issue here. It's because they don't want to get copyrighted, but I digress. Both of those comments that I just read out, I completely agree with the majority of the things that they're saying. The fact that this game makes it so if you're an endgame player, it is a requirement. There is no going around it. You need a full team of secrets. You need meta units. And who are the meta units? They are the secret units. How do you get them? Well, you either gamble for them or you spend money for them. There is no in between. There is no free-to-play incentive to grind for them because it is a gambling system. The game, at least for this update, is heavily rooted in RNG. And I feel like that upset a lot of people because RNG isn't that bad. A lot of games get away with high RNG systems and are still incredibly successful, much like this game. But the reason that this game faces so much backlash is because the RNG system... my Discord, not yours, I'm sorry. The RNG system is paired with an incredibly grindy, slow, tedious, and monotonous process of obtaining tokens, which you barely get any of in the first place. And you need to... my Discord again, not yours, sorry. Let me just close Discord real quick so it doesn't ring again. There we go. You need a lot of those tokens to summon for just 10 times on a banner that doesn't even guarantee you anything good. 9 times out of 10, not even 99% of the time on a 10 summon, you're not going to be getting a mythic, you're not going to be getting a secret, you're just going to be getting a bunch of fodder units that you don't care about. And I think that's everything on the ugly. So let's move into our closing thoughts. I don't want to end this video on a negative note, so I will say this. Number one, the devs have talked about adding a secret pity. It was in the patch logs for the update when they did the roadmap. I have other YouTubers who I have seen who have shown me screenshots of it. They're not lying, it's true. So maybe they either chose to scrap that or they're going to add it later on, who knows, but that's definitely a step in the right direction. Number two, the devs were holding a little podcast in the Anime Defenders Discord server where they were asking us, the players, the community, for advice on what they should be doing for this update. Again, I think that's a huge step in the right direction. I myself joined that podcast to tell them, hey, we need to fix the economy. We need to make it so gems aren't incredibly valueless, and we need a way to stop inflation. I pitched them my idea of making rerolls untradeable because that would essentially kill BMing. I also told them it'd be nice if we had a market in the game because gold as it stands is completely useless, but players don't really care about that as much as gems because gems is the more pressing matter at the time. So you can't say that they don't care about their game because they do. And if they make decisions that the player base doesn't like, it's not like they're set in stone, right? These guys are always open to change. They've been open to change in the past, and I'm sure that they're gonna be open to it in the future. So even though the update might have some undesirable things, I don't think that they're beyond fixing, and I still have a lot of faith for this update to be just as good as their previous ones, the ones that were really well received by the community. And I also have a lot of faith that they're going to keep delivering quality content just like the one that they have for this update. Because in terms of the quality of the game, you can't lie, this looks incredible. This lobby, the maps that I talked about, the unit VFX for the new secrets, I've watched videos on them, I don't have them yet, but I have watched videos. They all look very, very well made, very professionally made. And that's something that we've come to know and love this game about, but I want to remind you guys that's not the norm. Not every game looks as good as this one, and there is a lot of extra time and effort that the developers and builders and animators of this game put into making this game look as good as it does. So with all that being said, what are my concluding thoughts? What do I think about this update? It really was a hit or miss update for this player base. For me personally, I like this update. I enjoyed the fact that there's more units to grind for. I enjoy the fact that they have new mechanics like the burrow enemies, and they have new items which do pretty cool, unique things. But there's also a part of me where I'd be lying to you if I told you that it's all sunshines and rainbows. I don't like the fact that there is no guaranteed way to get the new secrets. I don't like the fact that this economy is in absolute shambles. And I don't like the fact that it's incredibly hard to obtain the currency which you need to summon for the new units. But with all that being said, I have a lot of faith in this game. I personally really enjoy this game. It's the thing that I base my channel around, so, you know, not fingers crossed, but I'm sure that they will make the changes needed in the future. With all that being said, it is almost midnight as I'm finishing recording this, so I'm sorry if my voice sounded a little bit more tired than it usually does. I just wanted to put out this video for you guys because I thought it'd be important for you guys to, you know, hear that the devs are doing something. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm just mindlessly glazing the game. I do have my opinions just like everyone else. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like, sub, comment, all that wonderful stuff. Have a great day or night wherever you are. I'm going to bed. Then we will catch you in the next one.